When the United Nations was created, its charter was spelled out in such a way that it was impossible to exclude a permanent member of the UN Security Council. Now Russia is considered one of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, as well as China, the US, France and the UK. These countries have the right to veto. However, the transfer of the USSR seat to the UN to the Russian Federation in December 1991 was illegal and was not properly formalized.
In fact, the Russian Federation occupied the place of the former Soviet Union both in the UN and in the UN Security Council. The Russian Federation, before that the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, never in its life received the status of a country a member of the UN. It did not ratify the UN Charter, that is, it is absolutely not mandatory for it, since it formally has nothing to do with this. Therefore, it is completely wrong to use the terminology of exclusion or suspension of the membership of the Russian Federation. We can only talk about stopping the illegal and groundless presence of the Russian Federation within the walls of the UN, as well as the abuse of it, non-existent and not inherent in actions in accordance with the provisions of the UN Charter, the rights of the so-called permanent member of the UN Security Council.
According to the Treaty on the Establishment of the USSR, Ukraine, Russia and Belarus were equal, co-founding countries. Therefore, experts believe that Ukraine can claim its right to a permanent seat in the UN Security Council, because it is the only successor country of the USSR that has not violated the UN Charter.
I believe that we are the country that, through military efforts and sacrifices among the population, has received a certain moral and legal right to set the maximum goal for itself, and in this case the maximum goal can and should be getting the place of the former USSR among the permanent members of the UN Security Council. We are a peaceful country and we have not attacked anyone.
According to Charles Michel, President of the European Council, Russia is grossly violating international law and its membership should be suspended.
I think there is a gap in international law if a permanent member of the UN Security Council, in this case Russia, definitely violates international law. In my opinion, a mechanism for suspending membership should be established, so I am among those who believe that sooner or later the reform of the UN functioning will be mandatory. Charles Michel, President of the European Council, in an interview with RTVI.
On December 26th, Ukraine officially initiated the process of depriving the Russian Federation of the status of a permanent member of the UN Security Council. The statement noted that the current UN Charter does not contain the words Russian Federation. In particular, there are no such words in Article 23 of the Charter, which lists the permanent members of the UN Security Council.
The Russian Federation has never gone through the legal procedure to be admitted to membership and therefore illegally occupies the seat of the USSR in the UN Security Council. From a legal and political point of view, there can be only one conclusion: Russia is an usurper of the Soviet Union's seat in the UN Security Council. In fact, it was an unprecedented case in the history of the UN, when a country imposed its membership in the organization by a unilateral decision, and UN member states were deprived of the statutory right to express themselves by voting in the General Assembly regarding the RSFSR's intention to be admitted to membership in a way not prescribed by the Charter. From the statement of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine.
In addition, Russia does not meet the basic criterion for membership in the organization. Article 4, paragraph 1 clearly states that UN membership is open to all peace-loving states, and the actions of the Russian Federation on the territory of Ukraine do not correspond to the concept of peacefulness. Reported by Roman Smoler, Yulia Bil, UATV News.